Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, powered by the Retirement Income Store and brought to you by Adjemi Financial Strategies in Guilford, Connecticut and Denver, Colorado.
So Daniel, I remember one time after one of the seminars I did years ago, it's actually happened a couple of times. People would come up to me and said, so Andrew, I told my accountant that I bought an annuity and he said I did a bad thing. Is that right? And I said, well, which kind of annuities did you buy? We just talked about 4 kinds of annuities. Which one did you buy? She said, I don't know. I said, well, did your accountant know? No, he didn't know either. I said, well, then that's malpractice. I'm Andrew Adjemi.
And I'm Daniel Adjemi, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about the 4 types of annuities you need to know about right now. And we hear that a lot, right? I bought, what's a good annuity? Or I bought an annuity and I heard it's a bad annuity. Or I heard annuities are bad. And we're going to bust up some myths today, some legends, and hopefully spread some truth.
Exactly. That's our intent today, is to educate people. And you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Adjemi. So, there's 4 kinds of annuities. And we know what is an annuity? Well,
the good, the gooder, the bad, and the ugly.
That's right. Exactly. And what is an annuity? Well, an annuity is a retirement vehicle, a retirement investment vehicle that is created by an insurance company. One of the very basic pieces, there's 2 basic pieces of an annuity. One is that it doesn't have to, but it can give you a guaranteed income for the rest of your life. And the other piece is that if you're growing your money, putting money away, it's growing on a tax deferred basis. And we all know and love tax deferral from our 401ks and IRAs and that kind of thing, where we're not paying taxes as it grows. We'll only pay taxes when it comes out. In an annuity, you don't have if you invest your IRA in an annuity, you don't have double tax deferral. But if you put what's called non-qualified money, after-tax money, in an annuity, you're not paying tax on the growth until you take it out. When you take it out, you'll pay tax only on the growth, not on the principal. So those are 2 basic things that an annuity does. And we're going to be talking today about what annuities are, how they work. In that example that I gave at the beginning of the show, this was the idea that so many times people don't know, what they don't know. But unfortunately, they start talking like they know something. And, so many times people go to their bean counters. Their CPAs and accountants and such, to be able to help them understand, or sometimes they're attorneys to understand financial things. But guess what? They're not investment people. They might understand some things, but they don't understand a lot of things. CPAs and accountants, they know how to count, how to do ledgers, how to do different things like that. They may understand some things about investments, but they're not investment people. Same thing with attorneys. Smart people know a lot of things, but they're not investment people. And that's where we're going to try today. We're going to bring to you annuities, what they are, the 4 kinds of annuities, what you need to know about them today, so that you can understand, are annuities good? Are annuities bad? Well, it depends what you use them for.
Yeah, and people have to watch out. You said, an accountant, an attorney may say, like, this can be owned in your trust, this can't be owned in your trust. That confuses somebody. The accountant might say this is good annuity, this is a bad annuity. They may not know what they're talking about, because these can get pretty complex. Or then the one you really have to watch out for is the mutual fund salesman, who doesn't even know what it is. They're just like, this works kind of like a mutual fund and you get tax deferred growth. And they don't even understand all the fees, because you have to watch out for riders, especially on annuities.
Right.
And there's somebody who's just trying to stuff it down your throat, and you got to watch out for those people as well.
Right, exactly. And one of the things that so many times people, when they're talking about annuities, they say, oh, I don't like annuities. And when I delve down into finding out, well, what is it about annuities that you don't like? And they say, well, I don't need a guaranteed income for the rest of my life. I got a pension, I got Social Security, and I got plenty of money. I don't need a guaranteed. Well, that's just one thing that annuity can do. But if and you're right, you don't need it for that. But that's the whole point. Each annuity each investment vehicle that is out there is designed for a specific purpose. Now, as long as you use it for that purpose, it's fine and it works well. But too many times people try to put a round peg in a square hole, square peg in a round hole when they're using different kinds of investment vehicles. Like using a variable annuity for a retiree is a square peg in a round hole. And we're going to get into that as we go with this. But before we do, I just want to let you know that you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Adjemi, because people don't know what people don't know, and we're trying to educate you to be able to make smart and wise retirement decisions, especially. Today, our topic is the four types of annuities that you need to know about right now. And we have a paper that we'd like to give to you that goes along with this. There's a lot of negative press out there, and it's called Negative Spin on Annuities. And you can have that paper by calling 800-725-7616 for your free copy, no obligation, or contact us on the web through contact us at agemy.com, agemy.com. See the words behind Daniel and our last name. This father and son team would love to get that out to you at no charge to be able to educate you. Just ask for it by name with the paper on annuities. Well, let's delve into this, Daniel. The first kind of annuity is what's called an immediate annuity. And immediate annuities are those kinds of annuities that are like a pension plan, right? Where you give the insurance company maybe $100,000, $200,000, $1 million, whatever it is, and you get a guaranteed income, whether it's for your life or it's for 10 years certain. There's different time frames that you can have. A 10-year certain says that you get a life with certain, which means that it will pay you for the rest of your life, but certainly it will pay you payments over 10 years so that at least you get your money back if you died within that 10 years. Whereas too many times how we've heard of people who, they take one of these, they take a pension, and then, within a few months they die, within a year they die, and then all that money is gone. That's no good. And I agree. If you're buying an annuity that happens, that's the wrong kind of annuity, right? But these are for the people that want to spend their children's inheritances, because if you give them $100,000 or $1 million, you're not going to see it again unless you just through the annual or monthly payments that you're going to be getting from that.
Right. These you set up, like you said, it's like a pension where you choose an option at the beginning. Usually people will choose the biggest option, which is the least guarantees, right? So it would be, it's just straight life. Like as long as you're alive, you're getting the payment, usually the biggest payment, or it will be for 10 years only. And that might be your payment. The problem is if you die before 10 years, there's no more payment. So when you're looking at these, or even pensions, this you could talk about a pension like this if you're looking at selecting pension options.
Right.
You got to think about that, because if you're going to live more than 10 years and you only pick 10 years because it's the biggest payment, do you have money to continue living after the 10 years is over?
Right.
Or if you choose straight life, did you want to leave an inheritance? So if you did, then you need to be thinking about, is there other assets, or is the payment big enough that I can, do something with the extra cash to be able to provide an inheritance or something like that.
Exactly. You can be thinking of, it's a way for you, an immediate annuity is an annuity that you can think of as a way to buy your own pension, create your own pension. It'd be just like a pension. You have different options. You can get just you die, it's gone, or you can get your spouse on there for a piece of it if you want. There's all kinds of ways that you can mix and match and arrange them. But the essence is that it's a payout annuity is what an immediate annuity is. This is an annuity. If you put your IRA, if you put if you have $1 million worth of IRA money and you put $500,000 into immediate annuity, and the payment is, let's say, $35,000 a year, and your RMD is $40,000 a year, you say, oh, I only have to take out 5,000 out of my IRA, and that would satisfy my RMD. No, that's not how this works. The 35,000 that you take out on the 500 that you bought the annuity with is the RMD for that. And you still have to take out your RMD of the other 500, which is approximately another 20. So you're going to have an RMD in this example of $55,000 when the IRS says you only have to take out, if you did it all in an IRA without an immediate annuity, as being $40,000. So in that
This is
case,
one.
go ahead.
Yeah, this is one we hear a lot. People say you did a bad thing, you bought that, because it ends up you never see, that five, in your example, you're talking about using $500,000. You'll never see that $500,000 again. And you can't do a lot of tax planning,
Right.
because you're getting a distribution that's
Yep.
that's taxable. Now there is ways, maybe you could roll it into another IRA and do that kind of stuff, but it basically makes a taxable event. So if you didn't need that money and it's your IRA, now you're paying tax on all this money, and you're like, what do I do? And if you chose straight life, there's nothing being passed to your spouse, there's nothing being passed to your kids, there's nothing being, there's no legacy.
Yeah. So, if you're looking at annuities, beware of what you don't know, and listen to this podcast, listen to this radio show, so that you can get educated on that. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. It's time for us to take a break. Today's topic is the 4 types of annuities that you need to know about right now. And we have a book that we're giving away today. It's by Howard Marks. It's called The Most Important Thing. And this is Uncommon Sense for the Thoughtful Investor. We thought this would be a good parody to put with with today's on annuities, because he's such a conservative kind of guy in his thought process, and make sure to the steady Eddie kind of approach. And that's a aspect of certain annuities can add to your portfolio if you want to do that. But again, this book for free to the first 5 first-time callers at 800-725-7616. The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks, 800-725-7616. Call now.
I'm David Scranton, founder of the Retirement Income Store. If you're in or near retirement, are you certain you have the right retirement plan in place? Do you want to help ensure your nest egg will last you all throughout retirement? Take our retirement review quiz and find out in 5 minutes or less if you're doing everything you can to achieve a more successful retirement.
Visit us online at Adjemi.com. That's AGEMY.com. Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemi in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemi in Colorado.
So we have a illustration of a situation I had recently. Saw a client, did a review with a client of ours that 8 years ago they put $155,000 into a variable annuity, and I said, Jimmy John, this is crazy, because you put $155,000 into this variable annuity 8 years ago, and today you have $153,000. I'm Andrew Adjemi.
And I'm Daniel Adjemi, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about the 4 types of annuities you need to know about right now. And AAA, that doesn't sound very good. You put somebody into an annuity that did that bad?
No.
A client of yours?
No, not at all. Unfortunately, they received money because of an accident settlement in the family, and I'm not sure. They went to somebody locally there, and I think probably at the bank or something. And it was a variable annuity salesperson, is what it was. Wasn't a fiduciary at all, and they put him in this annuity, and really haven't heard from them since to any great extent. And I was reviewing them. Unfortunately, the husband died, and I was going over the death claim with the spouse, and looking at everything from that standpoint, and found this annuity, and it's so egregious, right? Because she hasn't made anything on this annuity for 8 years. but you know the life insurance company did. You know the insurance company did with all the fees that they had with it.
Well, when did you say that was purchased?
8 years ago.
So, we were talking about how well the market has done, right? It's had every possible tailwind, um, you know, jetpack, everything you could imagine behind it for the last few years. The Federal Reserve pumping money in there. These huge tech companies, being able to borrow basically free and buy their stock back. Has had every possible wind behind it, and to not make anything in that period of time with taking on market type risk is insane. So let's talk about how these variable annuities work. Um, Actually, when you think about it, they kind of work a little bit like those immediate annuities, right? You got to
Right.
expect not to get any of your principal back.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And Daniel, just you were talking about what the market has done over the past 8 years or so, but the S&P 500 is up 100% from where it was, you know, 8 years ago, and they have not made a penny on this, right? So what is this? A variable annuity is called variable annuity because it varies. The account value varies with the market. It has what looks and smells like mutual funds. They're called sub accounts inside of it, and they go up and down with the market. So it's variable because the principal varies with the market. Now, the first kind of annuity that we talked about was the immediate annuity. And the thing that makes immediate annuities bad is that you lose control of the money that you put into it, and you really don't see it in a lump sum again. The variable annuity varies with the market and has all kinds of fees. It has the mutual fund fees, the subaccount fees, it has rider fees, it has what's called mortality and expense fees that the insurance company puts on. And typically, the
And
minimum administrative fees, typically the minimum fee is 1.25% plus sub-account fees, which are usually about another 0.5%. So we're talking about 1.75% fee minimum. And I've seen some variable annuities with riders and different things with as high as, over 4% fees. And that's what's so egregious about variable annuities. It was two things. One is that your money can vary with the stock market. The other thing is that the fees that are associated with it. So, like I said earlier, each investment vehicle, there's a reason for it, right? And it's kind of a variable annuity is kind of a structured product. And really the only people that make money on structured products are the people that structure the products and sell them, right? Just like the CMOs and such of the pre financial crisis era. But the point behind this is that retirees should not be buying variable annuities, in my mind. Variable annuities, if they're for anybody, would be young people, 20, 30, 40-year-old people that are maxing out their 401ks. They've got a ton of money and they're trying to get some tax advantage from that. And if they lose some money in the market, that's not a big deal. Because in this illustration, where this woman had this money in for 8 years, she hasn't made a penny on it. She actually lost money over that period of time. There's countless illustrations we have of this, and probably give a couple more before we're done with the show. But I want to let you know at this point that you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Edge, because people don't know what people don't know. That's why we're trying to educate you, be able to help you make a smart decisions. And we have a paper that we'd love to give you today that's called Negative Spin on Annuities. The idea here is that there's a lot of bad press out there about annuities, and some of it is correct and some of it is not correct. How do you know which is which? Well, get this paper and it will help you be able to understand a little bit more about it. Listen to this podcast. Call 800-725-7616 for your free copy. Ask for it, the Annuities white paper. And we'll be glad to get that to you. 800-725-7616. So, Dan, some other negative examples of these variable annuities that I have. I think about a person came in, I looked at their variable annuity. I think it was 2009. They bought it like in 1995, 1996. Market went up. They doubled their money on the way to tripling their money when the market was a high of 2000. They had originally put in only $6,000. In 2000 they had about $15,000, so it had doubled on its way to tripling. Hey, that's pretty good money, right? But by the time 2007 came along, which 2007 the market was at a higher peak than it was in 2000, and they had less than $15,000. They had $12,000 in 2007 when the market was higher. How did that happen? Well, because the reverse dollar cost averaging, so to speak, of the fees coming out when the market went down, that when the market came back, that had to go way past where it was for them just to break even. And they never did. And they ended up getting out of that to go into something else that would more secure things for them.
So when you're talking about reverse dollar cost averaging, it works like this. You have $100,000 in your annuity, and you bought a variable annuity with that $100,000 because you thought, if you could make 7.2% each year's 10 years later, you double your money, right? So, you're 50, you want to have $200,000 when you're 60. And so you went ahead with this. Now you're not going to take any money out of it until you're 60. You can't until you're 59 and a half. You figure, forget the half a year. I'll just wait till I'm 60. Right. The difficulty is the insurance company on the variable annuity is going to be taking money out for you.
Right.
And so you have $100,000, and let's say, that year the market went down 5%. So now you got 95 in the account. But before the market went down, the insurance company took 3.5%, so $3,500. And so you didn't go down only that 5% because of the markets. You went down 8.5%, right? And then the next year, markets go back up 5%. Well, you don't get to go back up to your $100,000.
Right.
And this keeps compounding, right?
Right.
And it keeps compounding the wrong way. Now,
Right.
you had mentioned if you're a young person and you're trying to get as much tax deferred money as possible. So you're 35 years old, you're making $800,000 a year, and you say, you know what? I'm maxing out my 401k, I'm maxing out my IRAs, and I want to defer some tax. And you don't like buying individual stocks for some reason. Then you can buy a variable annuity and dollar cost average in. So when it comes down, you're putting 100 grand, 200 grand in a year, and you can build some growth over a long period of time by dollar cost averaging in. But you said for retirees, this doesn't make a lot of sense because you're trying to save, and while you're saving or while you're waiting for your assets to grow,
right,
the insurance company, the fees are eating up your principal. It's the opposite of what we're always talking about when we're talking about income, where you have $100,000 and that assets are paying you 6%. That means you're getting 6% dumped into your account,
right,
by you just sitting there.
Yeah.
And if your account goes down, you get to buy more of the same assets with the same dollar, with the $6,000 coming in. So it helps you when it goes down. This is where people who are near retirement or in retirement really need to understand this. And I just want to explain why you said that these are so bad for retirees, because instead of getting that $6,000 dumped in, if you're getting paid by dividends and interest, they're taking out your $3,500 in our scenario,
or more.
Or more in our scenario.
If it grows, they're taking out more. Yeah, in our scenario.
And unless you're taking money out of your pocket to put back in it, this is working backwards for you. It doesn't make any sense. Why do you think there's so many of these out there?
Because people are enamored with the stock market.
We see them all the time, right? We see people come in all the time with these.
Right.
Why do you think, I know we got to go to a break, but why do you think there's so many of them out there?
Because the companies, the Wall Street model companies, make a lot of money off of them. That's why. They're structured products. And like I said, the people that make money on structured products are the people that structure them and sell them. Not so much the people that buy them. They might, but the lion's share is for those that structure them, and it's because of Wall Street and the Wall Street model. But maybe we can talk about that when we come back. Boy, we can beat on these all day long because there's so much bad about this stuff, and that's why people, when they say don't buy annuities, they're talking about either the immediate annuity because you lose control, or they're talking about the variable annuity because so many fees and so many bad things. And there's more I want to talk about. Never put an IRA in a variable annuities. There's no reason to do that, right? So I want to talk about that ideally when we come back to break. But in the meantime, we need to go to break, and we like to give away this book so you can be educated on be able to make smart decisions. The most important thing, keep the focus on the most important thing, right? Uncommon sense for the thoughtful investor. We'd love to put you in his hand. And
those are our favorite clients.
The thoughtful investors, exactly. And we're trying to make you a thoughtful investor. And I would love to put this in your hand. 800-75, let's try that again. 800-725-7616 to the next first-time callers, next 5 first-time callers, 800-725-7616. Call now.
History tells us the market goes up and the market goes down. What would you do if you lost half of your retirement savings? It's time to make the shift to steady, reliable retirement income. And where do you go? The Retirement Income Store. Log on to agemy.com for your free retirement review. That's AGEMY.com. The Retirement Income Store, where retirees go for income.
Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemy in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemy in Colorado.
We talk about people don't know what people don't know, and I remember being 18 and signed up for boot camp, right? Signed up for boot camp to get into this disaster relief program that I wanted to do. And in order to get in the program, you have to go through a 9-week basic training, pass all their tests, do some crazy hikes, 24 hours of hiking without sleeping, or, you take breaks, but consistently hiking, 60 miles, 40-pound pack. So we go and we're looking for shoes, right? The right kind of shoes, the right kind of boots in order to make these hikes. This is a big deal. So we talked to somebody who was supposed to be a specialist, right? And we talked to them and somehow ended up with the wrong kind of boots. They're the wrong size, and they're too heavy for the type of hiking that we were doing. So boots are bad, right? Boots are bad. All boots are bad. I'm in basic training and getting ankle problems, not being able to do the hikes, not being able to do the runs, not being able to keep up because I'm having so many ankle problems because the boots are too heavy. I'm Daniel Adjemy.
And I'm Andrew Adjemy. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemy, because people don't know what people don't know. And we're glad you're joining us so that we can educate you so that you'll know something that you don't know now. Today's topic is the 4 types of annuities that you need to know about right now. We've talked about the immediate annuity, how you give up the control of your money for payment from the insurance company. We talked about variable annuities. We've got more to talk about variable annuities that vary with the market. They go up with the market, they go down with the market, and have a lot of fees associated. But Daniel, what in the world does your boots have to do with annuities?
Well, I had boots that were very expensive boots. Didn't skimp on buying good boots. Went to a dealer that was supposed to know all about hiking boots. Somehow got the wrong size and the wrong kind for what we needed. We talk about strategies all the time, right?
Right.
So these boots hurt me and didn't allow me to do the things that I needed to do. So I could write off boots and say all boots are bad.
Right, you could.
But I still needed to finish basic training. So after talking to some of the people at basic training, people who had done it before, people who had been there before, done it, and made it through successfully, I realized that it wasn't that boots are bad. It was that the boots I had were not the proper pair of boots for what I needed to do. These would be if you, well, first off, they need to be the right size. Second, they were for if you're doing 12 miles with a big heavy pack. They're supportive, they're heavy duty. You're not going to twist your ankle. But if you're nonstop hiking for 60 miles and you're trying to make that pack as light as you can, you need something light, something that you can hike all day in, something that will give you support, but is not going to make your leg feel like you're picking up a ton of bricks every time you're walking, right? So I learned I couldn't just say boots are bad. I had to find the right pair of boots for what I was doing.
Ah,
And through that learning experience, right? You don't know what you don't know. People don't know. I had
right.
never done that. Multiple things happened. One, I got the right boots so I could finish basic training, and not only finish, but finish with honors.
Uh-huh.
Two,
Nice.
I learned that so I was able to help my brothers
Yeah.
so they didn't have to go through the same mistake that I
Right.
did. And they got the right kind of boots at the beginning.
Nice. Nice. So what I hear you saying is it's like there's not all boots are bad. You just got to have the right boot, right? So annuities, not all annuities are bad. You just got to have the fit the right annuity to the right situation. And what so many times happens with annuities is that you get a retiree who typically is conservative, generally speaking, right? And as far as a car goes, they would go for, a car that's safe, good in the snow, carries a lot of luggage, generally speaking, right? So they go into a dealership and they're buying a new car. They say, "Hey, I want a car that's safe, it's good in the snow, carries a lot of luggage." And the salesman comes out with a two-seater sports car. And they say, "What are you not listening to me? And I want a car that's safe, it's good in the snow, carries a lot of luggage." And they the guy says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." It comes back with another two-seater sports car. As you leave that dealership, you turn around, you look up, it says Porsche. This is old illustration, right? Porsche. Back when they didn't have, when all they had was two-seater sports cars. Well, you go into the wrong place. You're looking for the wrong kind of vehicle. The Porsche, Porsches back in the day did not have cars that were safe, carry a lot of luggage, and good in the snow, right? Now you go into another dealership and the same thing happens. Comes out with two-seater sports car, but this time he says, "Oh," you say, "Oh, this is not safe. Carry a lot of luggage, good in the snow." He says, "Oh, but on contrary, you see, it is. You see, it is safe because it has roll bars in it, and it makes it the safest sports car on the road." But unfortunately, but they come at an extra cost. The sports roll bars come at an extra cost. You say, "Yeah, but it doesn't carry a lot of luggage." He says, "Oh, on contrary, you see, it has a luggage. It has a trailer hitch, so you can carry take a trailer with you that carries as much as you can." But it's not good in the snow. "Oh, on contrary," so you see, it comes with an extra set of tires, which makes it the best sports car in the snow. Now, at the end of the day, do you really have a pair of boots that fit you, or do you have a really car that is good, safe in the snow, and carries a lot of luggage? No, you have one that's been jury rigged to be able to do that, and that becomes problematic. So you got to make sure that the annuity, if you get an annuity, that it's the right annuity, doing the right thing for you. And too many times the variable annuities are not what retirees need. They're jury rigged to be that. You listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. Today's topic is the 4 kinds of the types of annuities that you need to know about right now. And we talked about the immediate annuity. We're talking about the variable annuity. And we have a document that we like to put in your hand that will help you understand this. One of the things about the variable annuities is that they have sub-accounts that look and smell like mutual funds. And this paper is called "Why Investing in Mutual Funds Could Jeopardize Your Plans for Retirement." It's going to tell you about dollar cost averaging and reverse dollar cost averaging. We'd love to put this in your hand for free by calling 800-725-7616. Why investing in mutual funds could jeopardize your retirement. 800-725-7616. Daniel, when we're talking about these variable annuities, I mean, I just can't say enough bad about them. One of the things that comes to my mind is that, sometimes people buy them to get an income from. But in order to get that income, they have to turn them into an immediate annuity, which we've already determined that is not going to work well for most people. Um, you know, uh, what do you have to say about that? I'm thinking of my mind goes a lot of different directions. I can keep talking, but I want you to say some things.
Well, I think, everything has a purpose. So the immediate annuity, um, the immediate annuity has a purpose, and this is a pensioner, right? This is somebody who has a bunch of assets, and they select their pension from work, and that's an annuity.
Right.
So it has a purpose. Now, for a lot of people, that doesn't make sense. You got to find the right pair of boots. So these are thoughtful processes that you need to learn from other people's mistakes. You need to learn from what other people have done, and you have an expert help you. Well, you have to be careful that that expert knows what they're talking about, because they might be using different language, just like with the boots, right, or the Porsche dealer.
Right.
And so you need to make sure that each of these have a purpose, that the purpose is not jerry-rigged to fit you, but you're using it for what you need. And you have to understand how these work very well, or the person helping you with them has to understand them very well. Now, there's the thing called the disease of ease, right? And I think that's why people buy all these variable annuities,
Right.
because you don't have to do an asset allocation. You don't have to set up an investment account and buy investments.
Right.
Now, you could set up an investment account and buy mutual funds, but that's even too hard for some of these people to do that. So they just put it in this package, and it's set and forget.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the best interest for the client,
Right.
but it was easy for the person selling it, and they made some money off of it. And their the person they work for, right? The person telling them what to sell is very happy, because they got a 3% per fee for life, fee for the life of the product.
Yep.
Now, we talked about who the variable annuity might fit. So the immediate is good for a pensioner. That can fit the right person. The variable may fit somebody who has a ton of money, or like you were just talking about. We've seen a couple situations where if you don't care about your principal, sometimes these will have a larger income payment, right? So you buy a rider and it takes some fees out, and maybe it has a bigger payment than the immediate, or maybe it has a bigger payment than some of the ones we're going to get into later. So maybe that fits a very specific person, but then you also have to not care about the money in the account, because it fluctuates and the fees are eating it up. But there could possibly a reason somebody would use it, because they want a big payment. And then you have to be careful of the insurance company you're buying it from, because guarantees are only as good as the person who's the company giving it, right? And so if you just shop based upon the biggest payment, you might be in a new problem, because that company might go bust.
That's right. We've seen that. Yeah. Good point, Andy. Good. That's good stuff. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Adjemi. We need to take a break here. But before we go to break, we'd like to offer you this book so that you can know what you don't know. It's called The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks. It's a good book that will be able to help you understand. It's easy read, and be able to help you understand things from a perspective that you may not have right now if you've been following the Wall Street model for investments. The Most Important Thing by calling 800-725-7616 for the next 5 callers. First-time callers, 800-725-7616. Call now.
I'm David Scranton, founder of the Retirement Income Store. If you're in or near retirement, are you certain you have the right retirement plan in place? Do you want to help ensure your nest egg will last you all throughout retirement? Take our retirement review quiz and find out in 5 minutes or less if you're doing everything you can to achieve a more successful retirement.
Visit us online at adjemi.com. That's AGEMY.com. Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemi in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemi in Colorado.
Boy, you remember way back in the old days when the market was real high and rates were real low, back in the end of the beginning of 2022, end of 2021.
Right.
Stock market, S&P all-time high, rates all-time low. But before the Fed started hiking.
Right.
What do you do if you had a lot of money to invest? Now, I had a client come in the other day, and we were talking about, you know, how high rates were now. And now this is a client who is, moderate. They don't want to lose money. They got a big portfolio, and we were talking. And at this point, markets were down something like 25%. The S&P was down 25%, and the Nasdaq was down even more. We're talking about it, and their portfolio is down like 4%, whole portfolio. And they said, how has this happened? Second, how can we take advantage of markets being down? Well, good question. You like income, and now we can pick up good, solid corporate bonds, right? That are paying 7.5%. Well, how do we do that? You got to have cash on hand. I'm Daniel Adjemi.
I'm Andrew Adjemi. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. Because people don't know what people don't know. This father-son team are trying to educate people so you can make smart decisions. Today's topic is the 4 types of annuities that you need to know about right now. All right. So having cash available to buy at the right time, right? So how do we do that?
Well, that's where we go into the next. We go into the next 2 types of annuities. Okay. And this is a fixed annuity and an indexed annuity.
Okay.
And the index is an equity indexed annuity, and it's indexed to the markets. It's indexed to equities or equities. There's bonds, things like that they're indexed to. So in this story, the client had, when markets were high, put their money into an equity indexed annuity, and it had the same value a year later as what he purchased it for.
Okay.
So when markets were down 25%, he was flat. Was he happy? He was very happy. Now, the even better benefit besides not the money not going down was he was able to move part of that money over, an amount that he thought was the right amount, into his other accounts and pick up bonds, good corporate bonds that were paying 7.5% at the time. Those deals are no longer available, right? Rates have already started going the other way because people are anticipating the Fed's going to start cutting. He's thrilled that he was able to, first off, not go down when the markets went down, but second, have money available to him for buying opportunities, right? And there's a myriad of ways you can get this set up. You could use your income from these to do it, but we're going to just focus on how these products work and why he was so happy he got set up this way.
Yeah. So we talked about the immediate annuity that you give up control of your money for a check. We talked about the variable annuity. It goes up and down with the market but the fees tend to be high. The next kind of annuity on the list is a safe annuity. It's the fixed annuity that Daniel mentioned. Fixed because the principal is fixed. You're not going to lose principal. The interest rate is fixed. It's going to be fixed for a certain amount. And the time frame is fixed that you have it. So what it is it's the insurance company's version of a bank CD. So everything you think of a bank CD, that's the idea of a fixed annuity. The difference is it's tax deferred, where on the CD you're paying taxes on the growth every year. And generally speaking, the annuities are paying at a higher rate. So right now we have 5-year fixed annuities for over 5%, where it's going to be hard to find a 5-year 5% CD at this point in time. But that's kind of plain vanilla, pure and simple. And what Daniel's talking about is if you have it in there and then when it comes due, well, now you can take it and you can buy, or you can take out a piece of it and buy when things are a good time to buy.
Well, you can use the income as well. So that's why these are important. If you had $1 million in there at 5%, that's $50,000 a year.
Sweet.
So if you didn't need that money, then that would be a strategy, right? Just like the boots, there's right kinds of boots for the situation you have going on. And so you don't do this when you need it to happen. It's a
Yeah.
plan. It's a strategy that's prepared ahead of time.
Yep.
And that way, if the plan is, well, I want to set it up this way, and then we have $50,000 that
Yep.
will go into this other event, and it's dollar cost averaging again. So you set yourself up the way you're used to making money with your 401k,
Yeah.
except without going to a job and earning a check to put into your 401k.
Nice, nice. And so, one of the things that people need to look for is a fiduciary that can help them with this. Somebody's going to work in your best interest to help you do this, as opposed to a salesman, an annuity salesman or mutual fund salesman or that kind of thing. And that's why we have the paper today. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Management. We have a paper to go along with today's show to help educate you, called Why Investing in Mutual Funds Could Jeopardize Your Retirement. Mutual funds can help you build your assets when you're saving for retirement, but when you're in retirement, they can actually work against you, same as a variable annuity can from that standpoint. So you can have your paper by calling 800-725-7616 for your free copy. Call now. Listen, then, so Daniel, the next kind, fourth kind, is a fixed index annuity, like you said about, or equity index annuity. I like to call them fixed index annuities because the principal is fixed. You don't have to worry about your principal going down. The interest is indexed to the market. If money's not in the market, but if the market goes up, your money goes up. If the market goes down, your money doesn't go down. It stays. It's fixed. Once you earn interest, it stays with that. So a lot of people like this kind because it's a conservative manner to guarantee your principal, but yet still pick up return on the market. So a bad year in the market goes down, you don't make anything, like an example you gave us, Daniel, of the guy that didn't make anything. But in a good year, you could make 10, 15, as much as 20% have potentially on one of these. And then if the market goes down, you don't lose any of that money. Unlike, I'm talking to somebody recently with a variable annuity that, they put in like $135,000. They gained $75,000 in January of this year, but right now they've lost $40,000 over the past 6 years. Their average right now is 3.3% with all this volatility. Not nice. They lost some of their growth, but in a fixed indexed annuity, you don't lose what you make. Very nice option.
Yeah, now the index annuities, they have bells and whistles. So you could have fees inside of these too. So this is something people need to watch out for to know what you're getting, right? You don't need extra fees. Watch out for that. Look out for the fees. Look out for what those can do. Now, it won't do like the reverse dollar cost averaging because you ratchet up and it doesn't come back down. So while markets are down, you're not cannibalizing your principal because it holds you up.
Mm-hmm.
But they can work well with a full strategy. Everything's about the strategy, how you're using these kinds of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've changed a lot. They've changed a lot over the last few years, the way that you're able to participate in a particular index, right?
Right.
And so, if you are somebody who is very conservative and you want to see that your account goes up every year, maybe that's, like you said, the CD lookalike, the indexed or the fixed annuity. It just pays you a percentage for 5 years. But if you're somebody who likes to see your account go up, right, when markets go up, but you like holding on to that growth, then maybe that's something for somebody who's in that category, right?
Right. Excellent. And when you're talking about fees, typically it's a fee. There's only fees with the fixed index annuities when you're adding options, you're adding, features to it. The basic fixed index annuity doesn't have any fees. That's one of the things that makes them so nice. But if you could get a guaranteed income for the rest of your life out of one of these without annuitizing it. So that's a beautiful thing because
what does that look like?
Well, what that looks like is if you don't annuitize it, it counts toward your RMD, the income does. Whereas if you annuitize it, you're gonna make a larger
I don't.
required minimum distribution.
What does annuitization mean?
Oh, okay. Annuitization. Thank you, Daniel. What does annuitization look like? Thank you for helping me describe that. That's what we talked about earlier when we talk about the immediate annuity, where we turn it into an immediate annuity, one where you can only get your income from. Well, that's not what fixed index annuities do. Sometimes that's what variable annuities make you do, but not fixed index annuities.
So all annuities can be annuitized.
Right.
But a lot of people don't want it to be annuitized.
Right.
Because they want to be able to access their money. So you're saying that with one of these indexed annuities, you can collect income from it. It can count towards your RMD. You don't have to annuitize it. And if you change your mind later on,
right,
you can always you have that money available to you. It doesn't disappear, but you can have a guaranteed income. You can't have both. If you decided to change your mind and you wanted the cash, the guarantee goes away. But
right.
as long as you're using that guaranteed income and you don't need a lump sum, then you have that there. But then if some stuff happens and you need a lump sum, it's there available to you compared to what you're speaking of with the annuitization.
Exactly.
Once you make that decision, there's no going back.
Right. Right. And that's where a good financial craftsman comes into play that can design a strategy that fits you to do what you're trying to do, customize it to you, just like a fine custom suit or dress, as opposed to just something, a suit off the shelf or a dress off the shelf from that sample, which may fit, but maybe not quite as much as a custom. So you've been listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, because people don't know what people don't know. And we're trying to educate you. And we have this book that we love to give you today, The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks. We think this would be a good addition to your library and we'll give it to you for free to the next first-time callers, 5 first-time callers at 800-725-7616. Be able to help educate you to make smart decisions. 800-725-7616. Call now. And until next time, remember, an educated retiree is a stress-free retiree.